Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today is multi-step equations. What's the difference between multi-step and two-step? Well, two-step only has two things. Multi-step means like many, so it could be lots of steps. So let me show you one that would be like an example of a super simple multi-step problem. Let's say that I had 2n plus 7 plus 4 plus 1 equals 12. Why does it have multi-steps? Because you got to put a whole bunch of things together to make it into a normal equation first, and then you'll have two steps after that. Right away, are some of you guys adding up these three numbers? That was smart. That's what you should do. Go ahead and do that. And it'll be a new equation. 2n plus something, we don't know yet, equals 12. What are those three numbers added up? 12, good. There, I wrote a new equation. That's what you should do. Every time you get it simplified more, you write a new equation. Okay, now it's a two-step equation. It was actually going to be a total of 3 steps because the first step was to do this. Then I got to do the same stuff as before. You find the variable and you say, well, I got 2 things to do. And Mr. Server always says to do the plus and minus first, unless there's a fraction, but that's different. So I'm going to do the plus or minus. So what should I do? Minus 12 is right. Good. Now this one freaks a lot of people out because they think it's impossible to have 0 on one side of an equation, but it's totally okay to have 0 on one side. 2n equals 0. And again, it seems weird. 2 times what makes 0? Well, just follow the same rules. This is the times by 2, so we're going to divide by 2. And my final answer is n equals what? 0 divided by 2? That's like you have 0 cookies between 2 people. How much do you have? 0. It's totally okay to have 0 over 2. Here's what's not okay. You have 2 cookies divided amongst 0 people. That's not possible. It's pretty much, you're right, the answer is negative cookies, but you can't have this work. This comes out to undefined. If you did it on a calculator, you would type in 2 divided by 0 and it would say error. Can't do it. You can't divide by 0. So anyway, this was 0 divided by 2, and that is okay. If you try it again, if you try it on the calculator, take 0 divided by 2, it would tell you the answer is 0. It's okay to have 0 cookies divided by 2 people. Each person gets 0. All right, so that is a multi-step equation. I'm going to give you another one, and I want you to show me what you think you should do and try to get the answer. It's got 3 parts. Here we go. 3x plus 10 all over 2 is equal to 1. I'll give you a hint. You're going to have to get rid of the 2 first. I'm going to pause while you give this a try. Yes, I'm on the video again. Tell people at home how to do this. I times by 2, I times by 2, and then these 2's cancel, and it's 3x plus 10 equals 2. How many of you can see this in your work that you had? 3x plus 10 equals 2. That's so important. The people that don't get this try to rush through the middle stuff, and then they get an answer at the end, but they don't know what they did. If you've got this equation right here, you can do this. You just got to keep writing equations that are simpler each time. Now I take away 10, and now I need a new equation that's simpler. 3x equals negative 8. How many of you had that equation? You see how much easier that is? Yeah. It's down to only one thing left. Now I just got to do what? Divide by 3. You are now doing something that most adults on the street can't do. A multi-step equation goes over their head. Not every adult, but honestly, this is where most average people on the street would not be able to solve the one we just did together. I just want you to get, this is good. This is algebra. 3 steps is where it gets to be tough, and most of you pulled it off. Nice job. If you made a mistake in the middle and you just did one thing wrong, it's no big deal. You can handle it. All right. You can make a mistake and still, like, be an okay person and still understand this if you made a mistake. Just got to do it better the next time. All right, so let's try another one that's like that. 4n minus 8 all over 7 is equal to 2. Pause for a second, not give you any hints this time. See if you can do all 3 steps and get the answer. I'll warn you, the answer might be a fraction, not like 2. It might be like 2/3 or something like that. I'll pause while you give that a shot. Did you start by timesing by 7? Raise your hand if you knew that. Good. Times 7 times 7. And this cancels. 4n minus 8 equals 14. I am going to purposely make a common mistake right now. People go, okay, now I'm going to get rid of the 14. Minus 14, minus 14. Even though it is legal, as long as you do something to both sides, it's not smart. What should I have done right there? I should have added 8, because that's the thing you want to get rid of is the 8. The 14 isn't causing any trouble. It's that and that. I got to get the 8 and the 4 out of there. So I'm going to add an 8. Add an 8. And that makes 22. And this is 4n. Who had 4n equals 22 on their paper? Is that where a lot of people failed at that point? All right. You add 8 right there. Okay. So then the final answer is n equals 22 divided by 4, which I can tell you, I would change that to 2 times 11 over 2 times 2. Factoring. I taught you that little prime factorization thing where you break things up into chunks. The reason that's smart is then the 2's cancel and the answer is 11 over 2. But I would have accepted 22 over 4. Who had 22 over 4? Nice. A lot of you. That's awesome. All right. I think you got the idea. You just keep getting rid of stuff. When I see an equation like this, here's what I want you to see. I want you to see this thing as the main thing. Why do I want you focused on that? Because that's what you want to get alone. At the end of the problem, it should be n equals whatever. So it's all about getting the n alone. You got to say, okay, that's my goal. Get that alone. What's by it? This is by it, and that's by it, and that's by it. I got 3 steps. Whenever there's a fraction, you fix that first. So this would be first. And after you're done doing that, you got to get rid of this one next, because add and subtract's normally first, unless it was a fraction. Okay, so this would be second. And our last thing we would do is the multiply. How do I get rid of times 3? With divide by 3. That would be the third thing. So I want you to see the variable as your goal. So when I write out this nasty looking thing, I want to right away jump out what's the main thing? The n. In fact, I may be even harder because this is about as hard as they could possibly get. That's the main thing. I'll make it red. Do you get it's got 3 things by it? A 2 and an 8 and a negative 5. This is kind of like the fraction one. The first step is to get this out of here. Do you get once this gets out of here, then you're going to add 5 and then you're going to divide by 8? See what I'm saying? If I could get that 2 out of there. So how do I get that 2 out of there? It's being times by 2. So what do? Divide by 2. Everybody write this one down. This is the hardest one. It's the work of art at the end. It's the Mona Lisa of these problems. I know, I never thought she was that pretty, but it's supposed to be a priceless painting. There's a lot of paintings out there that are worth like $100 million nowadays. The Mona Lisa is considered priceless, as in you couldn't even set a price on it. 500 million, worth more than that. Whatever the amount would be, that's how much it'd be worth. So, of course, you can imagine that stealing it would be like a dream steal for somebody who is a art thief. Not really. Know why? Because if they stole it, who are you going to sell it to? On the black market, you got to hope you can find somebody who's not going to talk, who is willing to buy it for many, many, many millions of dollars and never tell anyone that they have the Mona Lisa in their basement. There's not that many buyers who would be willing to do that. So even though it might seem like the ultimate thing to steal because it's priceless, it's really hard to sell. All right, so First thing, you should have got rid of this times by 2. You should have divided by 2. Everybody try that with me if you haven't already. Divide by 2, and then you'll have a simpler equation. These are the keys. The simple equations you get from the more complicated one, right there, that right there, 8n minus 5 equals 7. That's the key. If you can keep making equations simpler and simpler and simpler, this is the most important thing. I've told you that before. This solving multi-step equations, this is the thing for all of till Christmas. This is the most important thing. So stay with me on this. Really, this is the big thing. Learning how to do all these steps. So after this, question? Yes, you may. After this, I'm just going to say your first initial, S. Tell me, since I'm recording, what comes next. You always get it right. Whenever I ask you one, you always get it right. Good job. Because add and subtract is usually first. But in this case, we had to get rid of the 2. Because it's kind of like that fraction kind. We have to... The reason it changes the order is it has parentheses. Haven't you heard that parentheses change the order? That's why we had to take out that 2 first. Now we're getting rid of the 5. We're adding 5 to both sides. 8n equals 12. And my final step is, it's really simple. What's by the end? Divide by 8. N equals 12 divided by 8, which is like, well, here's the way I like to do this. 6 times 2 over 4 times 2. And then I can cancel the 2's. And then I can break it up again. 6 is really the same as 2 times 3. Over 4 is really the same as 2 times 2. I would love it if you would learn how to do this. This would be really, really, really handy in your math life. For the next 2-3 years, you got math class. Reducing like that, changing it into little multiply problems is so smart. And all of you know that 8 is 4 times 2, or 12 is 6 times 2. And then you can cancel all the way down, and my final answer here is 3 over 2. Yes, ma'am. Like a 3 times a 2 times a 5n minus 4. I mean, that gets really complicated. I don't think we'll have anything that hard. If there were 2 numbers up here, actually what you would do is multiply them, because what is the 3 times 2 the same as? 6. And then it's just a 6 in front. Then you need to get rid of the 6. And this is the thing you go through. You go, okay, wait. Mr. Server said that the variable is the most important thing. And so I got to get rid of the 5 and the 4 and the 6. Parentheses change the order around, so I guess I got to get rid of this thing first. So I would get rid of the 6 and divide by 6 then. All right, this is the part where I want to hand out your worksheet so we can all get working on it together. It's called multi-step. Instead of 2-step, multi opens it up to it could be 3-step or 4-step. All right, the difficulty level is stepping up. The question is, can you hang with it? Come on, somebody be brave. Yes. How do I start? Number 1. You are correct. I'm going to divide by 5. Because that 5 is being timesed, I have to divide by 5. I like to show divide by 5 like this. Some people like to say divide by 5 like this. I don't care. Do it either way. But I recommend the slash because divide by symbol takes 3 strokes. Dot, 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 3 strokes. A divide by that goes this way takes 1 stroke. It's faster. And I think you all like faster is better. Okay, this times 5 and divide 5 are going to cancel. That's what they do. They're opposites. And now you can rewrite this equation. X plus 3 over 2 is all I have left. Equals 10 divided by 5 is 2. There. That is the key. Getting it so you have a simpler equation than before. And then we'll do it again. And we'll have another simpler equation than before. You can't try to do it all at once. Do you know what to do next? Okay, well, you're trying to get ahead. I'm trying to figure out number 1 still. I'm still on number 1. So do you know what to do on this one or not? I'm going to pause for a second. Yes, we are going to times by 2 to get rid of that 2. Good. And then those cancel. And now I have x plus 3 equals 4. I'm telling you, if you're not writing these things in between, you're missing the point. We need these simpler and simpler equations. If you can learn to do this, you've got great potential for the future. What are you doing? Can you get to the, where's the worksheet I just handed out? All right. Down on the camera here. Number 2 says 6x minus 1 or minus 8 equals 16. I have to admit, this one is kind of tricky to know what to do first. I'd say you have a 50-50 shot at it. Who wants to take a guess on what should be first? What do you think? Don't times 6. Yeah, I got it. Yes, sir. You absolutely can, and I like that, and we're going to do that. You are right. Nice job. You multiply and distribute. That's the right word for it. 6x, and then minus 6, and then minus 8 equals 16. Very nice. I like it. Now, I think the king should step in. You usually get these right. What's your gut feeling on this one? Should I get rid of, should I add things together? What should I do? So, put those together. What do you get? It is negative. Very good. Keep going. Because they're on the same team. It's like 6 on the negative team and 8 in the negative team. Yes! 6x and a negative 14 equals 16. Very nice. You came through. All right. Sitting right in front of you is Mr. T. On the video, I'll call you Mr. T. So what do you think? This is down to a 2-stepper, which is what we did yesterday. What was always first? You really like that number over there. It's this one. And it's not this one. Not this one, but this one. All right, so how do I get rid of the negative 14? Nope, because it's minus. It's minus 14, so there you go. Add it. All right. I don't expect everybody to get this right away. It's okay. What you need to get is by like a week from now when we take a test on it. A little bit longer than a week from now. We still got a lot of time to learn stuff. 6x equals, ooh, that's a big number. What is it? 30. Very good. And the final step. Get rid of the times by 6 and make what? Divide by 6. And the final answer is 30 divided by 6. 5. We have done 2 of your problems together. I have no problem at all with you doing some problems and coming up and saying, am I doing this right? I will gladly look through and see if you're doing it right. I just want to start one more together. Would you read me number 3? One? All right. Do you remember me saying that you add and subtracts usually first, but what if there's a fraction? Multiply by what? Multiply by 6. Very good. All right. I'll let you try to take problem number 3 from there. Being times by 6 on both sides. That's the first step. I bet you can finish it. All right. That's all I got for you for today.